Hi everyone, this week's guest was Eamonn O'Keefe, and as I told you in the video, there's this full interview to come. I met up with Eamonn, we went to Costa Coffee, I did a full interview with him. We spent about an hour chatting about all sorts of stuff, and Eamonn O'Keefe is one of my heroes, but back in the day. And the weird thing about it, we signed him in 1985, and Blackpool were then in the 4th division. For those of you who are too young to remember, Blackpool were in the 4th division, and the Republic of Ireland played England at Wembley in a friendly in March, and we signed him a couple of days after. So those must have been back in times when you could sign people up to, quite late. Obviously the transfer window ended quite late then, so it was a late signing. He came in and he was just incredible. He was prolific for Blackpool. He only played 36 games for us and he scored 23 goals in all that time. And I remember when my dad got the news, he came rushing in at home. He just basically came in, he was like, "We've signed bloody Eamonn O'Keefe!" He couldn't believe it. And I suppose you'd have the same reaction now if you'd have been watching England play a team on TV and Blackpool sign one of the players like a couple of days after from the opposition side. You wouldn't believe it, because it's not something that we did then, it's not something we do now. It was a real shock. Dad couldn't believe it, and he was the difference. Blackpool came with a late run at the end. We beat Chesterfield, who finished top, but we beat them at Bluefield Road, and Eamonn O'Keefe scored. Anybody who's there will tell you, he hit a ball it was on the left wing, just cut inside, and he hit a ball. It was like a rock. I mean, it was an Exocet missile. It came in so fast. I've never seen a ball hit the back of the net so hard in all the time I've been watching football, ever before or since. It was unbelievable. He hit it that hard. Anybody there would remember it. We beat Chesterfield that night. We had to go to Darlington on the second to last game of the season, and if I remember rightly, we were kind of even Stevens on the same points. I think, I can't remember exactly, but we needed to win this game at Darlington. Blackpool went in the thousands, probably took somewhere near 5,000 away from home. It was a little ground with like a very small stand, and then all just standing round. Really, with hardly any terrace or anything. It was more like hill, it was more like a bank round the side of it, if I remember rightly. We're all down one side, and we won 4-0. Eamonn played amazing. We had Paul Stewart then as well, another one of my heroes. And at the end of the game, when we won 4-0, the Blackpool fans would not go home. They were singing like, "Sam Ellis, Tangerine Army, Sam Ellis, Tangerine Army." It was just going on and on and on. And the police had to bring Sam Ellis out of the dressing rooms. He said, they're not going home until you come out and give them a wave, and, we're all singing like, "Give us a wave, we want Sam," and all this. And so they brought him out of the dressing rooms, and of course he gives a wave and we all went home. And then we drew the last game of the season, as you probably saw with Phil Corbett there, and we finished 1 point above them. But even if we'd have not, won that game, we'd have still gone up, because I think we were actually promoted on that night because our goal difference was so much better than Darlington's. And I sometimes think it's a big shame when we got up, obviously then into the 3rd division. We were on fire, and Granada Reports came down to do an interview with Eamonn, because he was prolific. He was just banging goals week in, week out, and they came, they did this interview on and this profile on him. And after that interview, he got injured, career-ending injury. And I sometimes, I think Blackpool would have gone up if he'd have stayed fit, and I think we'd have got back into the, Division 1, the Championship, but we'd have done that in 1986, and it took us till 2006 to get back into the Championship, didn't it? So all them years, you really never know what, how it could have been if Eamonn had stayed fit. It's such a shame. But anyway, he was a great player. So it's a great interview. Let me take you down to Costa Coffee and let's meet Eamonn. Mr. Eamonn O'Keefe, all right, how are you, sir?
How are you?
Oh, all right.
Lost a bit of weight.
Yeah, I've been keeping fit, keeping fit. Right, here we are. Let's go and get something. Okay, Eamonn, it's lovely to have you here. I've got a few questions for you. I'm going to find out a little bit about you before we go to the match. My first question is, when did you first realise you wanted to become a professional footballer?
My father used to run a Sunday soccer team for the priest at church, and he used to dub in the balls. and we had them all under the stairs, and of course he'd give me an extra few bob if we cleaned the balls, like, you know. So I used to go to the match with him and help him with the nets and all that. So I just was involved football, and I used to love the way they all got ready and the smell of the stuff on the legs and all that.
Would agree.
And then of course everything. My dad was so channeled of his Sunday team that I sort of helped him along with it, and then got sucked into it all. And we lived opposite a park as well. Everyone used to meet and have a five-a-side in the park and all that. So just was there all the time.
There was no like academies then, was there? So you weren't. You
No, there was none of that.
No. Did you play for like your school team?
Yes, played for the school team, and then when it started getting serious, I suppose, was when we were the only school. We had Manchester's a very, very, as you know, big area of schools, the whole of Manchester, and they had Manchester boys, and there was a guy called Mr. Cassidy who was chosen to pick the Manchester boys, like they had, you know, London boys and stuff, and we had 3 from the same school in it, and I happened to be one of them as well, into the squad. So it was quite a unique thing. I don't think he'd done it before or had it ever since, where of all the schools in the whole of Greater Manchester, we had 3 from our school in that team. And of course then it started getting serious then, because when Joe Armstrong, who was the chief scout at Manchester United, I came home one time and he was in the front room with my dad, and I thought, who's that? I said to my mum, she went, shut up, get in there.
All right.
So I just didn't say anything. And when he went, I was just expecting him to say it's the postman or something like, you know, and he went, it's Joe Armstrong, they want you to be the ball boy at United. So I said, how have they done that? I thought they said there was a massive queue. He said, well, yeah, he's the chief scout, so you're getting in above anyone else. So I thought, is that going to happen? Blow me, 2 weeks later, I was there behind the strap for them, behind the goal, catching the ball and all that. But he wanted to get me used to because I was doing pretty well at school.
Yeah.
His idea to my dad was to say, to get used to the big crowds and the thing, let's put him in as a ball boy behind the goal. So I was in front of the strap for them, which is an absolute, you know. And I think I was more scared than the blinking policeman sat next to me.
Right.
And but eventually he's right. As I came out to run out the pitch before the teams come out, I was just I got used to it, you know.
You started off your career in non-league.
Yeah.
How did all that come about?
There was a guy.
You started for Stalybridge Celtic, didn't you? Is that right?
Yeah. What's happened? There was a guy called George Smith who got the manager of Stalybridge Celtic.
Yeah.
And he played a key thing in my role for the next few years, because what happened was the manager of the local Sunday team where I played, the Vassar Club it was called.
Yeah.
And it was a Sunday league team.
Right.
But he was a dead keen manager, and he said, I've got a guy that I'm paying to come on a Sunday to train us before we start the season.
Yeah.
And he was called George Smith.
Right.
And he was a qualified coach. So when we were training, and I was running about, like, you know, the next thing, you know, the manager come to me and said, he wants you to why don't you come to Stalybridge Celtic and do a bit of training with them to have a look. He thinks you might be able to play, like, you see. So I said, yeah, all right, of course I will, you know. So I went up to Stalybridge Celtic, and then I'll never forget, we trained with them for a few weeks, and the next thing he said, we've got a couple of injuries, I'm going to put you sub on Saturday. And I was thought, oh my God, like, you know. Even worse, when the right back hamstring went after 10 minutes, and he went, I was the only sub. It wasn't like today, there was only one sub.
Oh yeah, of course.
So he went, you're playing right back, and I remember saying, dead feebly, I said, I've not played right back before. He went, well, you have.
Yeah.
And he like shoved us
in.
Anyway, I couldn't have enjoyed it any better if I tried. I was run down the right and all that, you know.
Right.
And because of his hamstring, he was out for a bit. He actually.
So how old were you then?
I was about 18, 17. He never played again, not like, because he put me right back. Then when it got to the end of the season, he said, I'm going to move you more forward to get more things. So he played my right midfield, if you like.
So did you always want to be a striker?
Oh yeah, at school and everything. That's all I
like scoring goals.
Yeah. And I always felt that was the You know, if the match wins 1-0 and you've scored it, then no one talks about anything else. You've got all such a money, you know. Yeah. So I played, and I really enjoyed it, and then they signed me on the contract. Of course, what happened then was George Smith got a job in Saudi Arabia in charge of Hilal Club.
George Smith was the manager of Saudi
Chelsea, and he got a coaching job in Hilal.
Oh right.
The next thing, I get this phone call going, how would you like to be the first European to play in Saudi Arabia? And I went, what about the heat and all that? Do you think we can? You know, he went, we'll come out for a few weeks, see what you think. So he sent the flight tickets and everything like that, and off I went. And I'll never forget this in my life, because we started in the training, and there's a guy, Naji he was called, he went flying down the right wing, hammered this cross across, and I run in, and it just come off my head like a bullet into the top corner. And I thought, oh, that's, you know, the Prince was sat in his car watching the training. Honest to God, about 10 minutes later, he went down the other side, smashed this ball across, and I struck my head on it, went in like a rocket into the top corner again, you see. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. As I'm running back to the middle thinking, blimey, I can't believe they were, you know, if he ever needed to do something, it had to be, you know, in front of the Prince and all that. So,
wow.
So as I was going past George, he went, whatever you were asking for money, add another note. That's what he said.
Right.
Add another note. You know, because he's watching in the car. So the next thing, the training finished, and he went, he wants a quick word, you let's go over. So I'm sweating like an idiot, like I run over with George. He opened the door and he went, Eamonn, is everything okay at the hotel you're at? And I said, it couldn't be any better, you know. So he said, I want you to write down what you want and give it to George. Yeah, it's like, the daft thing was, he was like, George, that was probably in the long term. What had happened was, Bashir, who was the centre half, spoke fabulous English. So he said, Bashir's going to take you, if you're going to, you know, you want a car, you need a car for your family and all that, like, and all that. Yeah. So you're going down and get it. Pick a car, like. I've told Bashir to, you know. So when we're going down, Bashir says to me, do yourself a favour, right? Pick a decent one and don't say, whatever they say, oh, it's too dear, I'll say, no, that's the one I want, you know. It's a keep that thing. So that was the mood. So we went down to see this big, massive Pontiac automatic car, cost an arm and a leg. And I went, wow, that's a big one, isn't it? And he went, right, that's it, that's the one. But I went, oh, behave yourself. George was at a Datsun.
Right.
So you can imagine I've gone down, come back, the Prince is talking and they're talking in Arabic and I'm like listening and he's going, you know, and all this like, and next thing he goes, okay, go and get it. So I was like, honest to God, it was like buying a sweet at a shop.
Right.
We went down, because he was a Prince. Yeah. They just said, he'll pay cash, that's not his money.
Wow.
But we went down. So
was it as opulent there then as it is, you know, was it like a really rich, you know, it is now out there with all the gold and everything?
Oh, you know,
what was it pretty, a lot of money there then?
Beautiful stadium that it was at and everything like.
Right, yeah.
But they had the players.
How many watched? You know, what was the crowds like out there?
I've got a picture at home and with the team before the match.
Yeah.
Where they're all like Saudis and there's me with my blonde hair.
Yeah. Really standing out.
And if you look behind, you can see they've all got the, you know, the things on.
Yeah.
But it's like a big white sheet right across the back.
Oh, right.
You know, so probably 20, 30,000, you know.
Wow.
Because especially playing against the local team, Nassau, which was like United and City or something like that, you know. Blackpool and Preston.
Were they the top team at that time?
He was
like right.
But it was mad because the heat was tremendous. So I had to have chewing gum and stuff like that to keep my mouth moist, you know.
Yeah, really.
But it was good, you know. It was good. But the trouble was all of a sudden George had this flat that was got a laugh. Down the middle of the road was like a sewer type thing. Right. And then, of course, the Prince said to me, I'll take you to see some places. And I was in this, like, luxury, brand new building thing and all that, with a lovely road and all that, like, you know. Right. And unfortunately, George, I think personally, it's George started getting jealous without, you know, like the Prince kept, because I was on my own at the time and my wife, the family hadn't come out, and George had his family there.
Yeah.
The Prince would say, come and watch the match with me, because they had these television things that they get games on and all that. Come to my house, and because in Saudi, what happens, they sit, all the fellas sit in one place and the women are somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's how it was then.
Yes.
So he'd go, when he'd finished at the end of the night, he'd just go back to where they were, you know.
Yeah.
And so we used to go and watch the match, you see.
Right.
So George said to me, I said they're gonna. Jimmy Hill took over then. The league, they weren't organised enough. They were playing games like we'll play you next Thursday and this, that and the other. So he said, we've got Jimmy Hill, they're going to pay him a fortune, and he's going to set a league up where, you know, so they're closing it down for now. So of course, when the Prince made a gesture to me, like, I love you and all this.
Yeah. There is a book about this, isn't there? You have what's the book called, just by the way? And I will put a link.
I only wanted to play football.
You only wanted to play football, yeah, because he didn't quite. It got pretty scary out there, didn't it? I won't go into the whole thing because I won't ruin it. Because people come back.
I have to be honest and say, I had two choices. Was he going to take that? You see, over there, that's chop your head off stuff. You know, gay. You can't have it. No, so if I'm accusing a Prince of that,
yeah,
I couldn't do it. Yeah, so I had to say, I asked him and said, look, because the season's closed down, Jimmy Hill's closed it down, I'll use one of my flight tickets that I had in my contract. I'll go home to see my wife and all that.
Yeah.
And he went, no, I don't think you're going to come back. And I said, oh, don't be daft. Of course I'm going to come back, like, you know. Yeah. But I thought, if I get out, I'm not, because I can't take a chance.
No.
Because next thing, the people go missing in the desert. Yeah, that's how they do it. You say, oh, where's such a buddy? Oh, he's... we don't know where he is.
Terrifying, basically.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
So, if you want to read the book, I will put the links in for you to. Where can you get the book? Is it on Amazon or?
I think you can get it. I think you can get it. There's ones where you can get it where you can read it. On
or download it.
Download and all that. Like
I'll put a link in the description about that. We won't talk too much about it because we don't want to spoil your book.
No, because like anything else.
Yeah.
Like anything else, I think people say to me, "I've got your book. I read the thing and all that," but I don't seem to get any money from it.
No.
So I think someone else is getting it.
Right, so help Eamonn on that with his book. Right.
Yeah, right.
From Saudi, you went back into non-league with Mossley.
Yes.
And then you got picked up by Everton. How on earth did you move from Mossley to... and what division were Everton in then? Top division, I
They've never been...
Yeah, no, they've never been out, have they? It's a daft question, right? Let me...
Yeah, it was a daft question. I hope you keep that in.
They've always been in the top division. Yeah. Right, so you moved from Mossley... non-league to Everton, who were obviously the top division. How did that come about? And that's a massive move, isn't it?
Well, I got Howard Wilkinson, if you remember him. He was in charge. They put him in charge of the England non-league team. So it's all picked from all over the country, and Howard actually picked me.
Right.
And we won in the final at Stafford Rangers.
Right.
And we won 1-0, and I happened to just freak the goal, scored the goal that won us with all these different countries playing.
Right.
It was the non-league countries that played, you know.
Yeah.
And when it had finished, I remember being at home the day after, and the phone went, and it was my manager Bob Murphy from Mossley, and he said, "You enjoy it, you know, and stuff like that." And then he said, "Can you call round? I've got something to have a chat with you about." And I said, yeah, because he only lived up the road a few miles.
Right.
So I called round, and he went, right, he said, I've had Gordon Lee from Everton on the phone, and we've agreed some money.
Wow.
So I said, Everton, you know. And I said, are you taking a mick? He went, no. He said, they're willing. He said, listen, he wants to know if you fancy it, that you can go and see him at the ground. So I went home. Rather than go home to my house, I went to my dad's, like, you know, and said, "Dad, will you come with us if I go to Everton?" And he went, "Yeah, of course I will," like, you know. So he came, and I'll never forget. We was in bewilderment. I didn't know what, I was in a different world, like, and he said, we've watched you a few times and I think you can do it, like,
Wow.
So I said, I remember saying to him, about wages and stuff, I haven't got a clue. I said, so I'm being dead honest with you. He went, well, it's all right. We signed a lad called John Barton from non-league, and we gave him X amount and all this, and we car and all that, like. And he said, so how about if you? I said, that'll do me, yeah. Because I would have played for.
You didn't have an agent or anything, did you?
No. Just my dad was sat there with his clock. His cap and his hand, think of it now, we must have looked like, God knows what we looked like. My dad just nodded his head and went, that sort of sounds all right. So that was it, But,
what's a different world, Eamonn, to how it is now? An agent asking for like.
Oh, you don't even go there, do you?
100 grand.
You only go there when it's done.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a different world. So you had quite a successful career with Everton. You went on to play for
The Republic of Ireland.
Republic of Ireland. It was five caps.
Yes.
1 goal. Who did you score your 1 goal against?
Can't remember.
You can't remember.
I remember. I tell you what I do remember. I was an overage player. I tell you what I do remember. I was an overage player for the under-23s, under-20.
Yeah, you played for the youth, didn't you?
In France.
Right.
And I remember we went over there, and Terry Conroy was the assistant, And I remember in one game, I think we played the Chinese, and I scored 4. And then when we went to Japan on a tour with Ireland, we played against the Chinese and scored 3. I'll never forget, dead typical Irish sense of humour. Terry Conroy went in front of all the lads, all sat down having something to eat, he was talking, and he went, can you just explain? You seem to have got it in for these Chinese people. The fella near me, he said the shop near me, the chippy. He said the fella's going mad saying he's don't he like us and all that like that. And I was going, I've got nothing against it. And it was just brilliant to be. There was good atmosphere, good place to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And enjoyed it.
However, you ended up at Blackpool, and you played for Wigan. You had a successful time at Wigan and Port Vale. So how did you end up at Blackpool? What made you move to Blackpool?
Probably John Rudge. How the argument started was at Port Vale. I was picked to play for Ireland against England at Wembley. I was in the squad. I didn't know I was going to play or not. I was in the squad.
Right.
And John Rudge, who's the manager then, said to me, I don't really want you going down there because you won't probably be playing anyway. And I said, hang on a minute. He said, I'd rather you not play. And I said, I'm going. I'm going. He said, this is international football, I can't. So I went down to London. I told Terry Conroy what he was trying to do, and he went, get on a train and I'll pick you up at the other end. Got to thinking, I'll never forget, Roger was trying to phone the hotel, and they went, Frank Stapleton and all them were going, he's in room 43 or something, and it's firing Roger all over the place, and he's going, he's not in here, he must be 29, you want, no? So they were taking the mick, and he never got to speak to me.
Right.
So I actually played it. Owen Ann pulled me in and went, I wouldn't do this normally, but he said, you're playing, you're in from the start.
Oh.
So so it was worth the fight to stay then.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as if Port Vale were playing that same night. He was saying, I don't want you to get knocked because we've got to play on Saturday or something, Yeah. So I was so annoyed with him. And in the end of the day, when we got back after they played at Wembley and everything, he called us in and said, what was the idea? And I went, what do you mean, what's the idea? You play for your country, get picked to play for your country. And my dad and all that, all did chuffed to bits and all that. And you're saying you don't want him to play because he's playing next Saturday. And I was dreading getting it. I thought, if I get injured, but I didn't.
No.
And I said, listen, I think they're there. I can't trust you now. I'm better off out of the way, The next thing you know.
So how long after that game did the call come in from Blackpool?
Well, the deadline was to transfers. Like the deadline comes up where you can't buy anything.
Yeah.
That was the week after.
Ah.
So when it was that next thing, he said, we've agreed some money with Blackpool.
So
that'll do me, I'm off.
That probably explains Because I think I've told you before when I met you last time that when the news came through that Blackpool had signed Eamonn O'Keefe,
Yeah.
my dad came home and he like burst in. He was like, "You're not going to believe this. We're signing Eamonn O'Keefe."
Yeah.
Honestly, he was going mental about it, and I'm like,
what about that?
So he must have
He's
seen
probably seen it on the telly.
yeah, seen you
Ireland.
play against England,
Yes.
and just thought, we've signed bloody Eamonn O'Keefe.
I know,
He
yeah,
couldn't,
yeah.
honestly, my dad was in shock.
I came home on the train
Yeah,
and got to the house, and it was sort of, if you like, a big come down here, me going in the house and that. And then as I opened the door, there was a note on the floor that said, "We're in the local pub," which was 200 yards away or something. Right. "We're in the local pub, Walshy and Sam." And I thought, Sam? Who's Sam? You know?
Sam.
And
Sam Ellis, I take
it's
it.
Walshy, because Walshy was a good mate of mine at Everton. So I went, walked round to the pub, and I thought, hang on, it's about 20 to 4, it's shut, you know. Anyway, the bloke they'd explained to him what they were doing, so he let them come in and shut them in, like. And there they were, supping pints in the corner.
Right.
So when I went in, he went, we've agreed with the, well, it's only you agree with you, can you come with us now? And I went, yeah, well, yeah, right, okay, just let me go and get some stuff at home. So when I went, here's the funny bit, when I went home, Walsh had been there before and all that, and he was downstairs. He said, "I'll put the kettle on, you go and get your stuff." Like, when I got my stuff there, the phone went downstairs. So I went, oh, don't believe it. And as I was starting to get ready to go down to get the phone, I heard Walsh go, "Hello?" He's answered the phone and he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to Blackpool." So I'm going, who do you have to get me top on and all that? Legged it down the stairs. He puts the phone down and said, "You don't want to be going to Preston." It was Tommy Booth and Brian Kidd who'd been at Preston, you know, when they were managers there.
Right.
So it was Tommy Booth trying to dive in and phone. Of course, Walshy pretended he was me and bombed him out. So
Brilliant.
So the next thing, I come downstairs with the gear, and we couldn't. To be honest with you, the three of us was laughing like mad. I think they'd had too much to drink, to be honest with you. And he went, "Come on, let's get to the ground." So off we went in the car, and that was its history. So it started off, if you like, really good atmosphere, and you know, and I think that relaxed me as well, because from the minute it started, when I scored a goal, the confidence went straight up. That, you know, and of course I started knocking it in, and it was hitting me on the back of the head and going in. I couldn't do anything wrong, you know. I couldn't do a thing wrong.
As a Blackpool fan at that time, and I went to Darlington, obviously, you know, where we actually secured promotion. Do you remember much about that game?
Was it 4-0?
Yeah, we were 3-0 at half time.
Yeah, because Conroy's, I shouted to Conroy, "Leave it," and he knocked it in.
Yeah.
And then after having a row going, "Leave it, I'm a yard out." I've only got to knock it in, and you say, "Leave it." Because I was like that greedy, was like, "Leave it, I'll get it," you know.
Yeah.
And
there was Paul Stewart playing them, wasn't there?
Yes.
It was
Barlow,
just.
yeah.
I mean, do you remember the Blackpool fans? Because it was a very. Yeah. It was an old ground.
They were all
wasn't it?
down the
in
side.
a little stand, but they were just all the way around, weren't they?
Yeah.
It was.
There was a massive turnout, and it was brilliant.
It's we haven't been promoted automatically
it's
since.
One of the best games I've played in for the absolute dominant. We dominated everything.
We were just amazing, weren't we?
Paul Stewart had a great game as well. You know, he really upset them. They couldn't handle him at all.
You had no idea how you probably at that time didn't understand how a massive a game it was, because we've been down in that 4th division for so long.
And also Darlington, they were right up there.
Us for it.
He took us away from them a bit and gave us that breathing space to.
It got us automatic because
could afford to lose.
Because it was a Friday night, wasn't it? It was a Friday night.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Saturday, I can't remember if we actually got promoted on the Friday night. Or
here's a good one for you. The directors who was on the bus when we stopped for the pre-match thing.
Yeah.
Right. The gaffer said, "Right, we're all getting on the bus." So when we got on the bus, the 2 directors were still in the thing and the drink, because we couldn't drink, obviously, we were having a pre-match thing. So they were in the bar. So the gaffer said to the coach driver, "Take us to the ground."
I left it.
Yeah, but he pulled us, typical him, he pulled us and said, "Look, Walsh, Eamonn, here." So we sat down, "What?" if we lose, I never said go back, like, you know what I mean? Leave them there. So he said, I said, I'm not saying that. He went, you know, like, you know? So anyway, because it was 4-0 and we hammered them.
Yeah.
They got on the bus and the two of them, I'll never forget, they went, sorry about that, lads, we that bit in conversation with, but they got a taxi to the ground. And, from where we were eating, you know.
It was worth every penny.
Oh, we battered them.
It was. And I remember, you know, as a Blackpool fan, I was there, and we didn't stop singing Sam Ellis Tangerine Army for like about. They had to bring him out, didn't they? Do you remember? They had to bring him out onto the pitch because we wouldn't go home.
That was also a game that Michael Davis will very much remember, because where he missed an opportunity.
Yeah.
And he said something, and the gaffer in the ringing room was like, "You never kick a ball for this club again, as long as I'm the manager."
Yeah.
And Davis was we're all like, oh yeah, but it was all like,
yeah.
And the next thing, about 2 weeks later, he was he's sub, you know, and Davis, typical, I loved him. We're all sat around like that in the change room and the thing, and he put the team up on the board, and Davis was sub, and he went, "Oh look, I'm in the team again." He went, "Don't have me taking it off." There was some belted fun, great fun, like, you know, good fun.
So, was he the comedian in the Mike Davis? Yeah, a lot of people say he was funny.
He had some great stories. He said, I was on the bus and I looked out and I saw Dave Moore looking in the window with the women's dresses and all. Dave Moore was like, you know, what? Got everyone after, like, you know.
Yeah.
Got everyone after.
What was Sam Ellis like? Was he good?
I personally liked him.
Yeah.
Whether anyone else stood to them, but
He was a bit hard, wasn't he?
He knew what he wanted, and what was nice about him, it was simple. He said, you know, the defender's the defender, and you know.
Yeah.
I think because he played centre half, we had Esky and Greenham.
Yeah.
Centre backs.
Yeah.
And they were real.
Yeah, proper.
Yo, you could leave it about them, like, you know.
Yeah. Proper hard men then, weren't they, really?
Well, I'll never forget, we were in Spain because celebrating the promotion.
Yeah.
The club took us to Spain. We were in the disco giving it all. And this bloke said something, so I forget who it was, I think it was Brian Butler or something. Esky come over, you know what it was like? Esky come over when there's some problem in the bloke went, no, just having a question. he was going to batter.
Yeah.
He was going to batter the thing, and in the end, no, you know, because I mean, he was a monster. He was a dead nice lad, like, as well, though, you know.
Yeah. Well, on the pitch, he was a bit of. It was a hard. Well, they were hard men, weren't they? They were just.
Yeah. I mean, that's how he was. That's how he was, you know.
Those were the days. Right. Maybe time for one. Like, we need to get off because we've got to go to the Armfield Club. Right, just one last question. It's Saturday today.
Yeah.
If this was a match day, what would be your routine? If you were playing for Blackpool now?
I never had a pre-match meal.
No?
No, because I always felt. I remember one time I'd had a poached egg or something, or whatever it had.
It's not a Gary Lineker story, this is it? No, I'm only kidding. You know.
No. And I remember feeling like an indigestion.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
So I decided to myself, I'm going to have a breakfast, but I'm not going to have a pre-match meal. Because something like I'd have a breakfast and then have something.
Yeah.
And I decided, the first time I didn't have it.
Yeah.
I never had a twinge or anything.
No.
So I thought, that's it. That's my routine.
Yeah, you'll just.
I'm not going to allow it to make me, you know.
Yeah, no, you don't.
It's just how it was. Because that happened. It might have been that I could have had that anyway, but because I didn't.
Yeah.
I'd sort of get me and East when I was at Everton. Me and Easto, I had little kids and so did he. So we were in my room together.
Right.
We'd go down and have our breakfast like 7:30 at the hotel where we're staying, you know. And he was the same as me.
And that was it for the day. Just a breakfast. Did you have like any superstitions before do you have to go out first, kiss the badger? Was there anything you did, or you didn't have a pre-match superstition?
I didn't do any of that.
Tie your laces last or nothing, or be last out. Some have to be last out, some have to be first out.
I wasn't interested. It was last out. It was whatever it was to get to the door.
Was there anybody that did have superstitions in your team?
Not that I remember.
No.
Not that I remember. I think there was Davis had act something like, you know, so I have to touch, you know. I have to wave to my wife and to my missus,
Yeah.
his girlfriend and all that, which he did. But it's just because he wanted to be like something to say.
And who was, last question before we go, who was your footballing hero and why?
Oh, probably best. I mean, I was a ball boy, like I told you before. When it was Charlton, Law and Best. I mean, how can you not? I'll never forget Charlton. I was behind the goal at the Stretford end.
Yeah.
And there was a little bench, and at the other side of the goal was another ball boy with the policeman, and the policeman next to me. I'll never forget, he hit this shot, Charlton, it just whizzed past the post, right? And it was coming right towards me. I mean, he could hit it.
Yeah.
And I went like that, and it hit me hand and smacked this policeman in the head, something like that, and all the canal behind me going, laughing at him.
Cool.
You never forget, he went to me, what did you do that for? I said, I'm not going to let it hit me in the face. I just, you know.
Got a roll call the police.
Oh, yeah.
Well, talking about heart, and you just reminded me, the Chesterfield miss hit. No, I mean, honestly,
it sliced.
we were behind the goal, and I can still remember it
There was
today.
nothing else to do. I'm not being
You hit
put
that
out.
ball so hard, and
I remember Ian Britton knocked the ball out to me. I'd moved out to the left because I think he pinched it off someone, and there was only a couple of their defenders, you know. So I moved out to the left, and in fair play, he knocked it straight out to me. And then I sort of stopped it and come inside. And I thought, there's no one up with me at anything. And I thought, I might as well give this a go, like, you know.
yeah,
I mean, if it puts the lights out, so that's side look. But I was on my own, you know. It was not. There was, if you like, we'd broke quick, and it was only me.
yeah,
But as soon as it left my foot, I knew I'd hit it as crisp. You know, when you're in training, you can hit one and go, oh, the ball doesn't even roll; it just goes, you know.
yeah.
And as soon as it left my foot, I thought he's going to struggle with that, like, you know. And sure enough, it was in the top corner, and that was it. And it couldn't have been a more important goal anyway, because it really knocked them, because I think they'd won 20 on the run or something or whatever.
Wow.
They were up there anyway. I think the top, Chesterfield.
I think they were, yeah. I think they might have been top.
But that caught us. That gave us that bit of space as well, you know, to put three behind, get behind them, you know, and also confidence of beating him.
Yeah.
So it was a good result.
Brilliant. Right, Eamonn, that concludes that. We're going to get off. Hope you really enjoyed that video. If you did, please give the video a like, and also if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do. There's a little button down there. You can just click in the corner, click on that, or down below the video there's also a little thing that says subscribe. Just subscribe to us, really appreciate it. And you'll also see the GoFundMe as well. I'm still trying to raise the 800 quid to do all this that I set at the start. We've done really well, 570 we're on, but if you're enjoying these and you want to contribute, click on that. You can scan the QR code and it will take you to the GoFundMe page, or I'll put a little link as well below the video, which will give you a link to go to my GoFundMe. So thanks a lot for watching. Thanks to all of you who've been subscribing, been with us for years. I do really appreciate it. I hope you're going to enjoy these things throughout the season. I'm not sure I'm going to do it this way next time. I think I may bring the interview in during the game, so I can ask the questions during the game, so it breaks things up a little bit. I'm not 100% happy with the format of it so far, but I will tweak it. It's early days, and I'll keep working on it and try and make these the best videos I can possible for you to watch. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next one.